Welcome to Beyond the Screen. I'm Nate.
And it's tea time.
A few weeks ago, the world was delivered the news that Sophie Turner and her hubby Joe Jonas were getting a divorce after 4 years of marriage and the creation of 2 kids. While the situation has been rocky from the start, the news just keeps on coming. This weekend, it was revealed that Sophie Turner would be suing Joe Jonas for wrongful retention of their children. This past Thursday, a representative for Joe Jonas shared a statement in response to Sophie's lawsuit that alleges that he is not allowing the children to return to England. The main claim is that after multiple conversations with Sophie, Joe initiated divorce proceedings in Florida. According to the man, Sophie was well aware of the fact that there was a divorce taking place, when she actually claims to have gained the information first from social media. There is already an order in place that restricts both of these parents from relocating the kids at this time, an order that was apparently served to Sophie on September the 6th. While Sophie is claiming that Joe is essentially holding them captive, Joe's representatives maintain that Sophie's claims came after a brief Sunday hangout with the kids in New York. Joe's impression of that day was that it went great and that he and Sophie had reached an agreement on where the kids were going to stay and how they were going to be parenting them going forward. But the next day, she called Joe and demanded that the children be returned to her in the UK. She also demanded that Joe handed over their passports so that she could take them out of the country as soon as possible. Joe has responded to the situation, claiming that all of these accusations are completely false. And a fun fact, as of writing this video, it was announced that in order for the court cases to proceed, that these two will need to undergo parenting classes while things play out. These 4-hour legally mandated courses held by the Florida court. The order states, all parties to dissolution of marriage proceedings with minor children or to paternity proceedings shall be required to complete the Parent Education and Family Stabilization course prior to entry by the court of a final judgment. This order also prohibits the relocation of the children on both parts. While Sophie has been dragging Joe's name through the mud, he's been entirely on the defensive. According to Joe himself, Sophie is just using a tactic to bring the court case to the UK, where apparently it would be a lot easier for her to relocate the kids permanently. The original news when these two first split was that they were going to be co-parents. The kids have been with Joe for a while now due to Sophie filming a TV series outside of the US. While she may be claiming he's withholding them or trying to do something sinister, most of the evidence points to a massive misunderstanding. So far as the world knows, there is no reason for Joe to withhold anything from Sophie unless it had to do with the safety of the kids. It's important to note that Joe is the one who filed for the divorce and has been maintaining his position as a dad throughout it all. According to the paperwork filed for the divorce, the marriage between Joe and Sophie is irretrievably broken. Sophie must have done something pretty hardcore for Joe to leave her, especially since they had already started a family together. Joe has not been doing himself any favors since the announcement of their divorce. Originally, the world was under the assumption that maybe Joe had possibly cheated on her. According to Joe, the reason was Sophie's partying lifestyle just did not mesh with his. The claims have been disputed and called silly, as not only has Sophie rarely been seen out and about as much as her hubby, but she said a dozen times over the years that she's like a homebody and a major introvert. Meanwhile, Joe has been on tour over the years, and many fans have shared photos of him just living it up. For someone claiming that they prefer to stay home, this guy really does like to splurge. In fact, Sophie was pregnant and raising a kid for at least half of their relationship, so people were like, when would she actually have time to party? Well, it turns out that she has a lot of time now, as she's been photographed living it up in the UK a couple weeks ago, clearly taking some time off to let off some steam. It's been recently confirmed that something is definitely going on in the realm of cheating or some kind of like an outside marriage deal. The exact details are unknown, but a lot of people speculate that the entanglement might have taken place a few months ago because Joe was photographed without his wedding ring for a short period of time, but only a few days before the divorce was announced, it magically returned to his finger. But it's not just their divorce that's been this rocky road. When they first met, it was just as chaotic as you may expect. In an interview with Harper's Bazaar UK in 2019, Sophie spoke about these two meeting, and she basically said that they got set up. She explained that they had a lot of mutual friends and they'd been trying to introduce these two for a long time. Apparently they were following each other on Instagram, and Joe direct messaged her one fine afternoon. just completely out of the blue. Soon after the meeting, he invited her to meet up while his tour was passing through the UK. She said that the two of them had an instant connection, even though she hadn't expected to like him. She said that he didn't bring any security, he brought a friend, and they drank just as hard as the rest of them. She remembers the two of them spending only a couple of minutes on the dance floor together, and then they found a space in a far corner and just kinda talked. Sophie went on to say that they talked for hours and hours, but she was never bored. She felt that the conversation wasn't contrived and it wasn't small talk. From her point of view, it was just easy peasy. She said that soon they were inseparable, and then she went on tour with him. So at that point, it seemed like she had really fallen hard for him, and marriage came pretty soon after that. Joe Jonas was 28 years old when he popped the question to his then 21-year-old girlfriend, Sophie. Now, a lot of people believe that age is but a number, and many didn't find this to be a big deal at first. An insider close to the couple revealed that they were madly in love, and while Sophie is a little bit younger than Joe is, she grew up in a small English town, and it's not really out of the ordinary of an age difference to be glossed over. Many fans also came to her defense, citing that her mental maturity was far greater than Joe's, because while she may have been 21, she was forced to grow up fast, and because of that was probably like 30 mentally speaking. Joe and Sophie tied the knot in Las Vegas, Nevada, after publicly claiming several times that they were in no rush to get married. After telling the world that they'd be taking time off for themselves following their engagement, it was not less than a month later that they tied the knot and attended the Billboard Music Awards literally the next day, like right after they got their license. They went to a little wedding chapel in Las Vegas that's actually famous for its star weddings, like Britney Spears' marriage to her friend Jason Alexander for a couple of days. Not to mention the wedding featured some huge Vegas cliches. There was an Elvis impersonator that was literally their officiant. Many speculate that Joe was trying to prove something to his brothers by throwing the exact opposite style of weddings that they did. Nick Jonas and Priyanka Chopra had an extravagant $1 million wedding spanning multiple days. The only people in attendance for Joe and Sophie, though, were Joe's brothers, DJ Khaled, and Diplo. They also didn't wear the traditional dress and suit. Instead, they opted for slacks and jeans, and to cap it all off, they used ring pops instead of real rings to seal the deal. And I feel like I'm describing a dream I just had. Sophie Turner previously admitted to OK Australia in 2016 that she's never dated anyone who she didn't know before or who was in the industry. And her reasoning was that in addition to being more focused on her acting career, her love life at the same time would be bogged down. She claimed that lifestyles were a massive contributing factor. Joe and Sophie had different ideas of what was fun. She went on to say how on-set romances are amazing but tend to be very temporary when it comes to, their time together. The logistics seemed to be her main concern. If she was filming in Australia, he was touring in the States, they'd never get to see each other. But after getting together officially with Joe, Sophie admitted that she did feel like she was in a bit of a fishbowl. Frustratingly for her, the smallest thing would make headline news. If she stubbed her toe on the sidewalk, it was in the news. Her frustrations were legitimate, but why maintain the charade for so long if you're uncomfortable with Joe from the start? So, what is the truth with Joe and Sophie? Well, right now it seems pretty straightforward. Sophie has started partying more and more, and she is being photographed doing things basically every day. As the weeks have gone by, more and more things just keep popping up. Meanwhile, Joe has just been taking care of the kids and fighting tooth and nail to keep his name in good graces. So, many people are divided as to what side to be on. Well, I just want to remind everyone who made it this far into the video, thank you by the way, that at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. We will get confirmation on what's up in the next few weeks more than likely. Heck, for all we know, these people will be the next Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. But for the time being, all we can do is speculate and just hope we're right. Until then, thank you for watching this video. If you made it to the end, you rock, and I hope you have an incredible day. Drop a like to show your support on the channel, and please follow us for more daily celebrity content if you haven't already. Thanks for stopping beyond the screen, and we'll see you next time.